Hey, it's Danny from projectmanaverse.com, and in this video, you're going to learn the 5 most important things to ensure a smooth project implementation and avoid a project go live fail. So let's jump in. First of all, what do I mean by project implementation or go live? Well, this relates to your IT project, and it's a culmination of all yours and your team's hard work on your initiative. It comes at the end after you've built your product and fully tested it, and it's time to put the code into the production environment and hand it over to the customers to use for real in anger. And it's a big event. It's usually done out of hours, quite often on a weekend. And it's the most exciting time of your project. And it's important that you get this right because your reputation is on the line as a project manager. This is the moment you're going to be judged as a leader of the project. So you don't want to fail. That's why you want to make sure you can do everything you can to prepare for this implementation and make sure it goes smoothly. Also, you often don't get many chances to do this. There's only a few windows in the calendar year where you can actually put a big IT project live because of various reasons, either clashes with other projects or business processes or busy times where resources aren't available, a whole slew of reasons why you can't just pick and choose any implementation you want to. So you have to get it right this time. And there could be other reasons on the line why you have to get it live, because if you don't, there might be some kind of regulatory breaches involved or fines, or it might just be very expensive to run the project and keep it going if you don't get it right in this window. So it's a big deal and it's important you prepare as best you can. So let's go on to the 5 ways that are the 5 most important things to ensure that you're preparing properly for your project implementation. So number one is picking the go live date very, very carefully. You don't want to be caught out at the last minute because some of your stakeholders or some team somewhere isn't ready to go live or wasn't prepared for it and puts their red card up at the last second and says, no, sorry, and blocks your implementation. So you want to pick that go live date as early as possible in your project. And you want to be very thorough with your communication and impact assessment of that date. So everyone that's involved in your project, all those teams, they need to impact assess that date and say, yes, that's a good date, we can go live, or we can't go live, and get everyone agreed to it, and then communicate that as much as possible to all your widespread stakeholders on the project. Very important that you get this date right, because I've seen it happen before. A month or two, or even sometimes a week before the go live, there'll be a blocker because some reason that wasn't thoroughly assessed at the start of the project, which means that you can't go live. So do your due diligence and make sure you pick that go live date very carefully. Get it all agreed and signed off with all the right stakeholders and all the right senior people, and then communicate it thoroughly through your comms channels. So that's number one. The number two thing to do is ensure that all the governance has been done. And you want to do this again as early as possible within the project. So there should be clear governance processes and procedures within your organization. And what you want to do is get very familiar with those at the start of the project and create a little plan in terms of what all those governance steps are, who's going to do them, and when they're going to be done, and make sure they're done in as soon as possible, as soon as what am I trying to say here? So yeah, as soon as possible, basically. You don't want to leave it till the last minute. If you can, get it all done a month or two before the go live date, because you can get caught out. It's happened to me literally about a couple of days before the go live. There was one particular piece of governance that I hadn't done, and I was sweating and panicking, and I didn't actually communicate it to anyone else that I hadn't done it. I was frantically trying to get it all done in the background and hiding it, and I did it in the end, but it could have completely derailed the project implementation, which would have looked really bad. So you don't want to be in that position. Trust me, it's not a good feeling. So that's number two. Make sure you fully understand what the governance is and make sure it's done in advance. Tip number three is to create a really clear and robust schedule of events, or an SOE. And the schedule of events is basically a list of all the activities that are going to need to be done on that go live weekend, all those technical steps, who's doing them, and what time are they going to be done, and how long are they going to take. You want a big sequence of all those events, and ideally you want to practice that in advance if you can. Pick a weekend before then and do a practice run. You don't have to put it fully live if you can't go that far, or if you can go that far, if you can put the code live and then back it out, that's ideal because you get a really good practice run and you learn so much from that weekend. You learn where the snag points are and you learn exactly how long all those activities take in the sequence of events. So make sure you've got a very good SOE. It's very clear who is doing it. Make sure it's just not a team name against each task. Make sure there's an actual person on there. You've got a start time and a finish time on there, and you've got all your dependencies listed out and they're all in the correct sequence in order. So make sure you have a strong SOE. Tip number 4 is to ensure all your resources are lined up. So everyone on that SOE, all the people that are named against the activities, make sure they are available on that weekend and you've got cover for the entire event, because often these things can't be done in a few hours. They can take several days sometimes. And I've seen many times in the past, a project will start their implementation on a Friday night once business has closed, the internal business, and it carries on until Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. And throughout that weekend, there's lots of people involved. So you want to make sure they're all lined up, they're all ready, and there's a backup person available to do that person's task if that first person is not available or they're sick. So make sure you've got clear resources in your SOE and they're all lined up and you've got contact information for everyone as well. The last tip is to establish a good command and control center. So once you've got your SOE, your schedule of events, and you have all your resources lined up and you've picked your date and you're ready to go, and ideally you've practiced the event as well, you need to control that event. Someone needs to control that SOE. It's usually your implementation manager or could be yourself sometimes. If it's a very big project, it's not usually the project manager that has to do and run that event. There's usually a specialist team that will do it for you and coordinate it. But they need like a command center. So it's usually done virtually these days. You'll open up a Teams chat or an instant messaging chat. You get all the people that are involved on that chat, and then you run through each step in that schedule of events. You put it in there, right? Step 1, who's doing it? It's done, tick it off. And you go for every step, and someone is just controlling and running through that SOE, updating all the times as to when each task was complete so it can be used for future reference. So make sure you've got a good, strong command and control center. You probably want to put in regular calls as well throughout the day in case there's a problem, or you just want to check in with the team, say, right, we're on track or we're not on track. But have those calls set up, maybe 4 or 5 throughout the day with those key stakeholders. And if you really don't need it, you can always cancel it, but it's good to have it there just in case to get that status review shared with everyone. And if there are any issues, you've got that opportunity to jump on that call and it's ready to go in case you need it. Okay, that is it. So hopefully that was useful for you. If you enjoyed the video, do give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button. And until the next time, please take care.